All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. It has been quite a while. I got sick and then, I just forgot this channel existed. And so, yeah, I haven't got a video in a minute. But that being said, I have a short little video today. I'm going to be reacting to another Nick clip. I understand it's lazy, but come on. He is ignorant. And it's just easy to tear apart his stuff. So I like reacting to it. Honestly, that's why I react to so many of these right-wing figures, far-right figures. They're just so bad at making arguments and they say so many things that are false that it's just easy to tear apart. It's quick content. So, yeah, don't blame me. I'll get better. That being said, in this video, they are discussing race realism. He is sitting here with Clavicular. If you haven't seen the stream, it's actually a bit odd. I never was super on board. Despite being against Fuentes, I was never super on board with the claims that he was gay until I saw this video and until I read the comments on Twitter and noticed that a lot of the people were pointing out that he was checking this kid out, and they were actually right. If you watch this video, I mean, he's staring at this kid in a strange way. But we're not going to get into that. With that being said, they're discussing race realism, which is the philosophically inept view that race is a biological thing. It's not a social construct. I just can't even begin to explain how stupid this view is, and there's a reason why every time I get into a voice chat or a voice call with a race realist, I completely dismantle their worldview. They're ignorant of basic philosophy. They don't even understand the worldview that they've adopted. The notion that race is, as a category is a biological thing, it's just nonsensical. What is race? It's a category. Categories are constructed. It is a social construct, obviously. And the last time I discussed this with someone, he was conflating like biological correlates with the category itself. Race is a category. Like, just end of story. And I remember I asked him, I said, he agreed race is a category. I said, who makes the category? He said, what? I said, who makes the category? He said, people. I said, what are people? He said, huh? And I said, they're subjects, right? So they're dependent upon a subject. So they're definitionally subjective. It is a social construct, obviously. But these people just, I don't know if it's like a cognitive limitation, but they're unable to hold in their mind two things at the same time, that there is a layer of construct and there's a biological correlate. They just conflate them. I don't know. Maybe this position is just a little bit too much for some people. But regardless, let's get into the clip and let's hear them.
The real pill on race. Like, this is the final race pill. It's like, do you mog or do you not mog? That's it. Doesn't matter.
Well,
is the two races good looking or not good looking?
That's true.
I don't know.
There's no race for your face, man. So that's
a good one.
You don't know?
I'm more of a racialist.
Yeah.
I think there's several. There's at least 4 races.
No, none of it's real. It's not real. It's a social construct.
True.
So this kid is obviously being sarcastic, but there are a few ways to know that race is a social construct, just sort of prima facie. One is, like Nick says, there are at least 4 races. Okay, at least 4. So can we decide that there's 5 one day? Can we slice them up another way and make 6? Can we, adopt Ben Franklin's view of white and knock out, Germans and Swedes and put them into another category of swarthy? Yes, we can. And because we can, it's obvious that we are making the distinctions. We are drawing the boundaries of these races. They are social constructs. They are social constructs, rather. It's like I said, we could take people with blue eyes and call them blorgs and green eyes and call them glorgs and make them races, and there would be biological correlates. They would probably have different IQs on average. They would probably have different levels of success on average. They would have different levels of incomes. There may be even differences in their bone structure. Who knows? I mean, they probably would, because you're going to get people of various, major races, if you want to call them, like the races that exist now, with different eye colors. And so because they have differing bone structures, you would still see those differing bone structures in the eye colors. And so it's a perspective. And because it's a perspective, you will view things that are objective and subjective as a consequence of choosing that perspective, but it doesn't make the perspective real. In other words, it doesn't make the category real.
So that talking point just confused me. Like, how do people even jump on board with that? Is this like a new thing?
What, the race is a social construct?
Because it just seems so outrageous. And I'm like, how are people like biting on this?
Well, they say that everything's constructed. Gender's constructed, sexuality's constructed. They say that it's all a sociological phenomenon.
And this is just like a straw man. Who says that everything is constructed? Like, literally everything. Someone said logic is a social, mathematics is a social construct. There are some people who say that, but do you really think that every person who says that race, a superficial category that changes by the century, by the decade, someone who says that that is a social construct, do you think they are, automatically adhering to the view that mathematics is a social construct? It's just a straw man. He attacks like the weakest version of his opponent's argument, maybe because he doesn't understand the argument.
It really does come from communism, because Marx fundamentally says everything is class. All of history is class warfare, and so they interpret every division in society as something created by the rich to divide up the lower classes. But obviously, sex.
What are you talking about, dude? People who are saying that race is a social construct aren't by virtue of that proposition committing themselves to the position that everything is reducible to class conflict. No one said, it's not even entailed by saying that race is a social construct, that it's a social construct intended to divide. That is honestly, this is just projection. Nick has like a conspiracy brain. Any single thing that happens, he has to sort of tie it to a group and say, well, the ruling group did this so that they can control us. Not everyone thinks in that conspiratorial way. Not everyone has this suspicion of every single thing around them. When I say race is a social construct, I mean that it is a linguistic superimposition done sometimes for useful reasons. Just like when left-wing writers adopt the categories of race to analyze sociopolitical realities. So, not everything has to be so conspiratorial. His brain is just rotted. That's the thing that is clear when you watch him. He has a rotten epistemology. If you watch Nick, I genuinely implore you to pay attention to the things that he believes and the motives that he ascribes to everyone. They're always so cynical. And I do think that can sort of erode your epistemology such that your conclusions are no longer valid. I'm actually being genuine here. I'm not trying to insult him. Maybe it's a consequence of the fact that he was canceled for so long or ostracized, which I don't support that. I do lean pretty free speech. I'm fine with people having a voice. That's the whole reason I respond to these people, is I think these arguments deserve light. We shouldn't ignore them, or else they will grow in darkness and remain unchallenged. But when I see Nick, I see someone who has a very just poor epistemology, and it leads him to strange conclusions. If you assume that everyone is doing something as a means to control you or someone else, you're going to generate some wacky conclusions. You cannot view things in this black and white way. In this cynical black and white way. You have to leave room for gradations. And I noticed that a lot of people on the right don't do that. In my debate with the race realist, he could not wrap his head around forming propositions on the basis of something less than certainty, than logical certainty. And I was telling him, I'm like, listen, there's Bayesianism, there are gradations of belief. And he is like, no, if we can't 100% prove this, then everything else falls apart. And that seems to be one of the divides between people on the left and right. The left seem to be capable of thinking in gradations, of thinking granularly, whereas people on the right seem to want to jump to a black and white conclusion and stick with it dogmatically. And that's not good. You shouldn't think like that.
And race are biological.
Yeah.
They're visible. What is a different skin color other than a different gene expression?
Yeah, right.
Or a collection of genes expressing themselves.
That's not the category. Race is a category. He's, again, just conflating biological correlates with the category.
I believe there was a study conducted that showed a very big difference, but then he disappeared.
Yeah. James Watson.
Oh my God. What is it? What study? I believe there was a study that showed a very big difference and then it just disappeared. That study doesn't exist, because what are you even talking about? Look how vague that is. There was a study that showed a very big difference and then it disappeared. That's not true. We have an understanding of the genetic disparities between the races, and people post it all the time. So I don't know what I don't even know what to say to that. And then he starts talking about James Watson and how he got canceled for, saying that race and IQ is genetic. That's just completely different. This is just the average Nick Fuentes fan. They're just not very smart. And look how proud he is.
He literally discovered DNA and they buried him about it. But if you could tell a person's race from what their bones look like.
Right, yeah. It's like if you showed us pictures of skulls from all the different continents, I would be able to identify, which is which in milliseconds, right? Mm-hmm. So for people to say it's a construct, it seems a little bit ridiculous to me.
Number one, you could not do it in milliseconds. That's just insane. And I understand maybe it's hyperbolic, but number one, there are going to be edge cases. Maybe if you take like the most prototypical European bones and the most prototypical African bones, you'll be able to tell the difference. But there are boundaries that would be blurry. Obviously, you know, you go to like the Eurasian boundary, and I guarantee you're not going to be able to do it with ease. But on top of that, again, this is just conflating the biological correlates, things that correlate with the category, and the category itself. There are biological correlates, but there would be biological correlates to any superimposed category. And if you took the category as it was superimposed in Ben Franklin's time, those biological correlates would have differed. The races wouldn't have actually had as starkly different bone structures because, you know, Franklin separated Anglo-Saxons and Swedes, racially speaking. And so, you know, that's it. That's the short little clip I wanted to react to, but it's just more nonsense. These people have to stop espousing these views as though they're uncontroversial. No one can defend them. Seriously, if you are a race realist and you want to defend the view, whether it's broadly speaking race realism or race realism with regard to IQ differences, I welcome you to DM me on X and we can talk about it, because I'm really tired of people pretending as though this is uncontroversial or as though, you know, it's just obviously true, because it's not. And I'm really tired of a lot of these right-wing positions, which are frankly stupid, proliferating as though they are defensible and uncontroversial. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe. Thinking about starting a Discord, so be on the lookout for that in my next few videos. I'll probably leave a link in the description, just because I think that would be a good way to foster debate. But that being